So there is this massive AI data center being proposed right now next to one of the most desirable neighborhoods in Colorado Springs. And if you are PCSing here and looking at houses on the west side of the city, you need to understand what this could do to your property value before you put in any sort of major offer here. So you've probably seen the headlines at this point, Project Taurus, Raeden, the old Intel site. So 2 community meetings now. The first one was in April, which was totally packed to the point that they had to split it into 2 separate groups just to meet fire code. The second one was on May 14th, which went 2 hours and left people furious. And I've gone through the actual studies, not like the developer marketing, not the opposition flyers, but the real research on what data centers will do to your home value, noise, water, and power. So today, I'm going to be breaking down the real data, and that way you can make the smartest move for your family's budget right now. And just ensure that you don't get stuck in something that's just unsellable when you get ready to PCS in the future. So let's just set the stage. The site is 1565 to 1625, which is High Tech Way, right off of Garden of the Gods. That's the old Intel microchip manufacturing plant. A company called Raeden, based out of Oakland, California, wants to convert it into an AI data center under the city plan called Project Taurus. Now here's what's going to matter for you. This is going to run 24/7, not the typical 9 to 5 like the old Intel facility. 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. And the zoning that was originally approved for this site was only for a 9 to 5 operation. So that 24 gap is gonna be real. And keep in mind, the city's planning commission still has to approve it, and then it needs to go to city council. But right now, no independent study has been done by the city on the impact the data center is going to have on noise, water, and then energy prices, or really how it's going to impact the neighborhood. And let me say this again, the city has not commissioned a single independent study yet. All right, so the number one question is what does this do to my home value? And the answer might kind of surprise you. So a 2025 study out at George Mason University's Schar School looked at Northern Virginia. That is the data center valley, the densest cluster of data centers in the country. And what they found was that homes closer to the data center actually sold for more, not less. And the study accounted for 80% of the variances in home sales across Northern Virginia. And the reason, data centers tend to build in areas that already have a strong infrastructure. So good roads, reliable utilities, and access to jobs. All the things that make neighborhoods just desirable. But, and this is a big but, here's what the study just doesn't really capture. So buyers who are actively shopping near a data center construction site, in my opinion, they're just gonna ask more questions and they are going to take longer to pull the trigger. So a house that's right next door to a construction site or a new substation is just going to sit on the market longer. So for example, I actually had a buyer that I was taking out the other day. And when they saw that it was across the street or like literally in their backyard was going to be the new data center, they asked me like, well, what's that going to do to my home value? Is this going to cause me problems along the way? What's the noise level like, power, water? And they ended up going with a different house simply for the fact that there was the potential for that data center to be there. So how does this story kind of apply to you? If you're a buyer and you're just buying a house in Pleasant Valley and 800 feet away, this new construction site is going to be going on, your resale pool is just going to be smaller. Not necessarily eliminated, but just smaller. So for an E5 on a tight timeline, a house that just won't sell because of the neighborhood data center will become a financial trap. So let's talk about the elephant in the room. the noise. Raeden says their operations will stay below the 50 decibel sound requirements from the city. They say they'll remove Intel's old fans and install sound barriers. Here's why residents aren't really buying it. In Prince William County, Virginia, same type of facility, same promises. Residents complain that noise levels routinely exceed 60 decibels. And 60 decibels is like the threshold where studies show increased stress and blood pressure. And that's just like the high frequency noise you can measure with a regular decibel meter. Data centers also produce low frequency noise, so infrared sound. That falls below what a weighted decibel meter can reliably detect. It's just kind of like a really low hum, a constant 24/7, never stopping hum. Brittany Heights in Chandler, Arizona is quoted to say a quiet neighborhood until a data center moved in right next door in 2024. Residents reported headaches, vertigo, sleep disturbances, ear pain. They tried earplugs and nothing worked. It took them 8 years to get the city to change the zoning laws. And in 2025, the council voted unanimously against a new data center. 8 years later, guys. Now, quick foot stomp here. The Intel site already has elevation differences between where they did their sound studies and where the actual neighborhood sits. Sound travels uphill differently than on like flat ground. The opposition group in Colorado Springs has pointed this out, and Raeden hasn't actually fully addressed it yet. Just something you need to know about. So Raeden says they'll use and recirculate about 200,000 gallons of water. They say it won't stress the water system. And here's what I really want you to think about. Colorado Springs is semi-arid. We've been in drought conditions multiple years in the last decade, and data centers are notorious for underestimating water usage once they scale up. The other piece is going to be power. Data centers that use air cooling, which is what this facility would use based on what is currently proposed, those run 40% of their electricity on the cooling system. More data centers in an area means more demand on the grid. And the more demand means higher residency electricity rates. In some communities, utility prices have tripled after data center buildups. The city of Gibraltar, Michigan, where Raeden has another proposed facility, is actively pushing back for exactly these reasons. If your BAH is calculated on today's utility costs, and those costs go up 20 to 30% over the next 5 years, that gap comes out of your pocket. And here's what nobody's telling you. The biggest risk isn't when the data center is going to be fully built. It's the construction phase. We're talking 18 to 24 months of heavy truck traffic, diesel generators running for testing, road closures, and noise that no sound barrier can actually contain. So Eric Bromlett, a broker in Texas, works in a major data center hub. He's seen houses right next to construction sites just take significantly longer to sell. Buyers are going to ask more questions, and some are just going to walk. This is the worst phase to sell, so make sure you time your purchase accordingly. I know that was just a harsh reality check, but the bottom line is that Colorado Springs has a neighborhood for every single rank, and it doesn't need to be near the data center. You just have to be realistic with what's coming to the Westside over the next 2 to 3 years. The data center isn't guaranteed to tank your home value. The research actually says that in mature markets, it's actually the opposite. But during construction, in a market where your resale value window is going to be dictated by your PCS date, you just need to consider this risk and just factor it in when you're buying a home. If you want me to look at a specific address and just tell you how close it is to the proposed site, feel free to DM me your rank and your PCS date, and I'll pull the map for you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.